Three, two, one.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Real Pineapple, and this is your humble host, Hunter, here. Hope you're all having a great week so far. I've got a review for a movie here, everybody. Got a review for Sound of Metal, which is directed by Darius Martyr, who directed The Place Beyond the Pines. That was the last, wow, it's been that long. It's the last film he directed back in 2012. That, of course, has Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, Eva Mendes, Ray Liotta in it. In this film stars Olivia Cooke. Olivia Cooke as Lou. You know her from Little Fish, Thoroughbreds, and Pixie, to name a few films. And then Riz Ahmed, who I have to say, I am a huge fan of Riz Ahmed. You know him from Shifty, which I haven't reviewed yet for this channel, but Shifty's fucking awesome. Also, you know him from Jason Bourne. He was in that. He was the foil in there. He's great in that. You know him from Venom as Carlton Drake. Probably the thing that most people know him from is probably Nightcrawler, because Nightcrawler is fucking incredible. But let's just get out of the way. Does Riz Ahmed deserve an Oscar nomination for his portrayal as Ruben? In 2 words, hell yes. Riz Ahmed, this is one of the best performances I've seen all year. It's beyond impressive given the subject matter, and I just want to have Riz Ahmed hit the rock. I'm just honestly in awe of this performance. So, the film itself starts off with Ruben and Lou, played once again by Riz Ahmed and Olivia Cooke, respectively. He's a drummer for the band that they have together. He's going ahead, plays the drums. They're rocking out this show. They're in the middle of a tour, and as he wakes up the day after said performance, he begins to be able to not hear anything. And actually, pardon me, that's the next day when they're setting up the merch table for one of their shows. He can't hear anything, and it just starts off very slowly as a ringing. And the thing about this show that I have to give it, this film, pardon me, that I have to give it so much credit for is the way the sound is edited. It makes you feel like you're Ruben. It makes you feel like your hearing's going out. And I'll be completely honest, there are a couple times I was like kind of rubbing my ear like, oh wait, what the hell is happening? But that's how intense the film makes you feel. And it's so heartbreaking because they play that second show that night and he's off. He's completely off. He actually runs outside and basically has a full-on panic attack, which, I mean, my God, you would given the circumstances. And so the film that goes ahead and leads to him going to a doctor, or to goes to like a pharmacy, and he's trying to communicate with the pharmacist. And so the pharmacist tells him like, hey, go ahead, speak to this guy right now. He can help you out. And that in particular, and that's maybe about at the 15-minute mark, that's where the film really does take off. They go ahead and have him take a hearing test, and he can't hear anything, really. He's just off. So the guy reading the words to him, says, read, say this word. And so I believe the guy says ditch. He says fish. Ruben does. And so he's just off, but you can feel his frustration in that scene. And it's such a well shot scene. And so after he gets the results, he's told his right ear's at 28%, his left ear's at 24%. So the doctor flat out tells him, look, man, your goal right now is to preserve the little bit of hearing that you have left. So you need to stay away from concerts. You really need to stay away from all loud noises. And, being a drummer, not really an option. And so couldn't have happened obviously at a worse time considering they're on this I believe they said there may be 8 shows into like a I think they say like a 30 city tour. So they've just started their tour. And so to get this news, holy hell. And it's the thing about this movie is for anyone who has a passion, whether that's painting, writing, podcasting, to have your passion taken away from you is really one of the most horrifying things that I personally can say I've ever thought of. And you think about just how these things go sometimes and how it's not always a happy ending. That's always in the back of your mind watching this film. And the film does such a great job of always keeping that at the forefront because there are times where Ruben's talking to someone and the movie will just drop the audio out and you'll get that muffled sense of what he's feeling, what he's hearing. And the film uses that to such great effect. It's not doing it all the time, but it really drops it in when it feels it's necessary. So after Ruben goes through all this, his partner really makes the decision that you need help. Ruben is wanting to go ahead and just have Lou, count him in and that he can go ahead and just work off that. And she flat out refuses. They have this disastrous concert that just when you think about someone who's an open micer or a comedian, someone that you care about, maybe a friend, and just think about them bombing, and it hurts your heart to see him unable to go ahead and put shit together. It breaks your heart, and it's so well done. And when as the movie progresses, Ruben ends up uh, at this commune, basically ran by this born again Christian, Paul. I'm gonna butcher your name, sir. Sorry, Paul Ratchie was I'm gonna say who plays Joe. He was on. Let me see. So yeah, really, basically an unknown actor, and I will say, sir, if there is a 6-man award to give out for this movie, it would be to Joe because the way that Ruben and Joe's relationship starts off with, it's very to say that Ruben is mean to him would be an understatement. And to be honest, it makes sense, obviously. He's losing his hearing. That would put anyone in a very frustrated mood. But when you see Ruben have these outbursts, he's really trying to keep his shit together. The movie doesn't come right out and say it in the beginning, but you can kind of figure out that he might have been an addict at some point in his life. That is touched on later on in the film, but Ruben just has all these things going. It feels like against him, and Lou being his rock and her wanting him to get help, he's feeling betrayed by the person he cares the most about in the world when he shouldn't be. She's clearly trying to help, but him dealing with that potential reality along with the reality of potentially losing his hearing completely, all of this is just kind of bearing down on him, and it's really sad to just see him try to keep it together because again, him being a former addict, you obviously don't want to see him relapse as well. But I don't know if the actor who plays Joe, I don't know if he is deaf in real life, but I will say the fact is, even if he's not, he played it perfectly for what this film requires from this character. It's so perfect. It is so perfect. Joe gets into his backstory, which I'll lightly touch on, but he talks about how he lost everything. because of alcohol. And that in particular, you feel why he is running this commune, why he's invited these people into it. And it's such a well done, somewhat origin story, as it were. It's great to see Ruben try to relate to him and Joe to try to go ahead and peel those layers back of cynicism, which Ruben clearly has, not just from being a former addict, but from thinking that what Joe's trying to do is bullshit, really. There is a great line. It might be my favorite line in the whole film because it really is something that needs to be shouted from the mountaintops because Ruben is hesitant to an extent because of what's happening with him. I don't know you, dude. How can you help me? All of that. But it's very clear as well that Joe is a born again Christian. And so Ruben even says, look, I'm not about Jesus. I'm not a Christian. I'm not into religion. And so, if that's a deal breaker, I need to tell you that now. And Joe, and I wrote this down because I wanted this to be clearly said. Joe says the deaf community in the church, and I'm paraphrasing somewhat, but the deaf community in the church helps people in need, not religious people in need. And I remember I had to pause the movie on that and go, holy hell, what a concept. You're helping someone without dangling that Jesus carrot. What a fucking what a fucking concept. And I love that the film makes sure to address that because at the end of the day, it should be about helping, not helping someone and just because, they're a Christian or not. I love the fact that the movie portrays that. And there is a scene, and again, I'm trying to dance around spoilers here. Ruben obviously ends up staying at the commune, but Joe flat out says, um, you need to give up your keys and you need to give up your phone. And that was something that I just went, wow, okay, because Joe basically says, like, you need to commit to this. Like, I need to make sure there's no outside forces getting in the way of your recovery, which does make sense, but it's just it's heartbreaking because you can see how much it's hurting Ruben, just how frustrated he is, and how much he wants to be there with Lou, how much he wants to go ahead and still make this work. He flat out tells her, like, I can't live without you. Like, will you write me and tell me you're okay? Like, I need you to promise to wait for me. The way that scene is done between the two of them, you feel the desperation of Ruben thinking that not only is he losing his hearing, he's losing the most important person in his life, in his world. And that scene genuinely brought me to tears. So the part I didn't mention is you find out there are implants you can't get for your ears, but they run between 40 and 80 grand and insurance doesn't cover it. So not only is this about him getting the money to potentially get those implants, but it's about Ruben's road to understanding who he is, whether that involves his hearing or not. And I'm gonna really stay away from more plot points past that because this is one of those films that you need to discover for yourself. This is a film that's gonna hurt you. It's a film that's gonna make you cheer. It's a film that, growing up in a musical household, it's one of those things I sat back and went, wow, I just love everything about this. Straight up, I do not have a complaint about this film. And I've watched it a couple times because I was sitting here going, maybe I'm giving this film too much credit. And I think the biggest problem about this film is that some people won't give it enough credit. Yes, I mean, there are some cliches in this, but nothing that's going to make you roll your eyes or go, oh, give me a break. This movie really is about this man's journey to not only potentially rediscover who he is as a musician, but rediscover who he is as a person, independent of the woman who has been his rock. And I'll say in the last, I'll say half hour ish, the movie goes a direction that some people may not think it will, and that's all I'll say. But this movie also has one of my favorite end shots, like the final shot of this movie, is so fucking perfect, and how this movie ends is so fucking perfect. I was so happy the movie ended where it did and with what it does. I was like, thank God this is how it ended. Because as the movie goes on, I was watching it going, it would be perfect if it did this, and it did it. And thank God it did, because mwah, chef's kiss, absolutely perfect. When I think about other things in this, um, when I think about other things about this film that I love, you don't get a lot of, uh, you don't get a lot of him performing as far as drumming or anything like that. But what you get a lot of different clever ways that while he's at the, where he's at the, what's called, the recovery house, while he's there, you get these very clever ways that they use sound as far as him still appreciating sound but not being able to hear it fully. They do some very clever things with it, whether it's this one scene where he's talking to a kid on a slide, or this one scene where he is in this classroom. Um, they talk very frequently in sign language here, which I love that they actually did that. But they do enough to show you as an audience what they're saying. There are just these little tweaks and these little things that the film does that you could make an argument they didn't have to go this far with it, but they really want this to feel immersive. And I give everyone, especially Darius Martyr, I give him so much credit for making the decisions that he does make with this film. He was one of the writers on it too, so right on. But really thinking about other things that get to my final thoughts here. Not only is the last shot perfect, but there's this scene where Joe, because everyone has a job to do around the house, and Joe basically tells Ruben, "You don't have a job while you're here. Your job is that you're gonna wake up at like 5 a.m. with a pen and pad, and you're just gonna write." And he says, "I don't care what you write. I don't care if it's chicken scratch or just rambling, but you're gonna write, and you're gonna find the stillness while you're here." And that scene, the way he breaks that down to him and why it's important, is so incredibly well done, and it really brought a tear, several tears, to my eye. The relationship between Ruben and Joe might be even more important than the relationship between Lou and Ruben, and that's for reasons that the film will show you. But overall, the final thoughts here, I really don't have a complaint about this film. It's so incredibly well done. And there is, the last thing I will say, there's a scene between Joe and Ruben near the end of the film, and I'll just leave it at that. That is so well done. It's one of my favorite scenes in a film in all of 2020. Um, and that's all I'm going to say about the scene because I don't want to spoil anything. But this movie, the cinematography is great. The music, when it is there, is so well done. Again, the way that the movie makes you feel like Ruben, as far as you losing your hearing and you witnessing what's happening through his eyes. It's so perfect. It's, pun someone intended, pitch perfect. Um, but I really don't have a complaint about this. I've watched this twice, start to finish, and I was really sitting here going, "Do I have anything I want to complain about?" And no, I really don't. I'm just more upset that more people haven't watched this, and I will tell you, it's on Amazon Prime Video. It's included with your Prime subscription, your membership. Go on Amazon right now and watch this if you have not seen it. It is well worth your time. Pardon me. It's well worth your time. It's just a hair under 2 hours, but it's a beautiful film. If you're a musician, if you're an artist in any way, this is something you will appreciate, and something that I really do think that you'll love. This is a fan fucking tastic for me, easily. And Riz Ahmed, I don't think that I don't think that Olivia Cooke is in the movie enough to warrant an Oscar, unfortunately. But my God, so much of Ruben, so much of his growth is because of her. So yeah, so I don't want to discredit her. I don't want to discredit what she does in this film. I just want to be very clear on that. But Riz Ahmed really is a revelation, and he really should be commended and praised for this performance. I think this dude is special. I can't wait to see what he does next. But yes, if you're a fan of this dude, or even if you're not, this is well worth your time to seek out, support this film because we need more films like this. Absolutely incredible film. Absolutely incredible. But Sound of Metal, everyone. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Let us know what you thought in the comments. You can go ahead and like both our pages on Facebook at The Real, that's REEL, Pineapple, and Real Pineapple Games on Facebook as well. I'm going to be streaming Retromania Wrestling here when that releases here at the end of the month. So keep an eye out on my I'll keep an eye on the Facebook pages for information on when I'm going to be streaming. If you want to get ahead of the curve, you can head on to twitch.tv/the real pineapple. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Give us a rating. Let us know how you're enjoying the podcast. You can listen to us on SoundCloud, Apple and Google Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher and iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Tune Up at The Real Pineapple. And you can follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. That again is REEL Pineapple, as well as Scott on Twitter at Nearman. That's NEARMAN the first. Also, check out my friend Nathan and Aaron over at Mission Impossible. I helped out with a interview for the one, the only Phil Morris, and also helped out with some other stuff here coming down the pipeline. So check them out. Subscribe to them. They're an amazingly funny and awesome podcast. So check them out. Please go ahead and we'll have reviews coming up here soon for the Black Cinema Showcase, including reviews for Waves, The Last Black Man in San Francisco, Judas and the Black Messiah, One Night in Miami, to name a few, as well as finally, and I've been wanting to review this for a while, but the Watchmen TV series, because I have had a lot of requests to review that, and I'm getting to it, I promise. Before the end of February, that review will be up. But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Please take care of each other. Wear a mask. Be safe. We're almost through this. Please hang in there. And again, thank you for your support, and we will talk to you soon.